What's going on, everybody? Cheers. Happy Wednesday, or whatever day of the week it is when you're watching or listening to this. Welcome to the With Her Two Hands podcast, where each week we celebrate the women who build, fix, and make the things that make the world go around with her own two hands. And tonight we have a very awesome episode for you. We've got an incredible guest. We're going to be diving into the world of metalwork and maybe some music, maybe some Cajun culture. Definitely some teaching and a whole lot of passion. It's going to be a phenomenal episode. I'm really excited to meet this multi-talented woman, Brandy Aubé. I believe I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I hope I do. But before we bring her on, I want to thank all of you for being such wonderful listeners and watchers and enjoyers of this series. If you've been enjoying this series, where we aim to normalize women in the trades, please make sure that you're hitting that like button, subscribing if you can, and leaving us a comment so that the systems, what's the word I'm looking for? The computer things behind the scenes. I don't know why I can't think of this word all of a sudden. They know to promote this series more so that more people can see and learn and meet these incredible women who are just kicking butt out in the trades every day in very heavily male-dominated fields. So thank you guys for being a part of normalizing women in the trades and for being here week after week. And without further ado, I'm going to stop blabbing and I'm going to bring on tonight's guest because I think you guys are going to really enjoy her. Hello, Miss Brandy. How are you?
I am great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
You nailed it. And I think the word you were looking for was algorithm.
That is totally the word. It just was gone all of a sudden. It was just completely gone. You ever have that happen?
All the time. I'm getting older and I sure noticed it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, I'm loving your accent.
What accent?
What accent? We're going to have to dive into that right away because I know the folks at home are curious. Tell me what this accent is.
It's Cajun French. So I'm from Acadiana, which is a region in South Louisiana that consists of about 8 parishes. And this is where the Acadians settled when they were kicked out of Nova Scotia.
Okay. I do not know my history well enough, clearly, but that sounds fascinating, and now I'm going to have to learn some more.
Yes.
And you're really passionate. I know we don't want to spend the whole episode on this, but you're really passionate about kind of preserving Cajun culture, and this is an important part of your identity. Do you want to chat a little bit about that and how it influences your work?
Sure. So Cajuns are known for being hardworking and humble and innovative in certain ways. I just feel it is a dying culture. Our language is dying. We are trying to revive it with we have French immersion schools here. We have people advocating all over the world through music for our culture and our language. And it's very important to keep it alive. And I'm doing that in a certain way because I make a traditional musical instrument called a tifar, which is actually translated to little iron. And it's a traditional percussion instrument. It's a triangle, but we use it in Cajun music.
Interesting. Okay. And that's where its origin is from Cajun music.
That's right. And no one is making them anymore. Like the older men that were making them have all kind of died off. And I saw that nobody else was picking up the ball and running with it. So I said, well, I need to figure this out. So I did.
That's awesome. I love that. And have you always lived the same place? Have you traveled away from home at all? Or has this been your you've just stayed for forever?
I've stayed here forever. Yes. I've done some traveling, but I've always come back home.
I love it. How large of an area is this where you're at?
It's not really large. Like the largest city next to us is Lafayette, Louisiana. Okay. And it's about 250,000 people.
Okay.
It's not big.
Okay.
And then, so Acadiana the heart of Acadiana consists of about 8 parishes, where the culture is very thick, heavy.
I love it.
Good food, good music.
Yeah.
Good people. Very, very kind and generous people.
I love it. There's so much to learn. But there's so many like little nooks and crannies of the world that even within just the states that have so much rich history and
Y-
people don't know about it. So it's
Yeah.
really cool to get a little piece of that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Tell the folks at home what it is that you do. Tell us in a nutshell, who is Brandy Aubé?
Oh, Brandy Aubé is just a gal who picked up a welding machine uh right after college in, let's see, I graduated in 1999 and
Okay.
picked up a MIG machine, and that was it for her. She found her passion. Um yeah, so I went to school for product design. So I do have a design background, which didn't hurt. It's helped me a lot doing what I do now. So I do
Sure.
custom fabrication and metalwork, mostly architectural elements and
Okay.
furniture, fixtures, installations, just
Okay.
everything custom
And
mostly.
some musical instruments in there as well, of course.
Sure. Yeah. That's pretty I guess fairly recent in the 24 years that I've been
Okay.
doing metalwork.
Okay. And for folks who are interested in checking out her work, she really does some pretty phenomenal stuff and very unique things. So I will definitely have a link to her website in the description down below. So once this is over, don't go now because you're supposed to stay here and pay attention and hear her story. But after this is over, definitely go check out her work and all the cool stuff that she's been up to in the past and currently. So tell me so you were in school for design.
Mhm.
Um, what led to the picking up of a welding torch? How did that come about? Tell me that story.
So my dad is a welder.
Oh, okay.
Um, okay, that's about where the story ends. He didn't teach me he didn't teach me any of it. Um, I have his knack for engineering things. I call him an engineer without a degree because he's
Okay.
done everything. He's figured out everything in his life. He used to build boats, different types of boats. He's had several businesses doing welding and yeah, so I was exposed
Okay.
to it
Okay.
as a child and growing
Was
up.
he opposed to teaching you, or you didn't show interest initially,
I
or
guess I didn't show interest.
okay.
Although like in college, I was in his shop a lot. You can see my dogs back there.
It's awesome. We're supporters of
We're pet
animals. It's all
friendly.
good.
um, yeah, I guess I didn't show interest. I'm sure if I would have asked, "Hey, can you show me?" He would have.
Okay.
But it took me dating someone that I went to school with who happened to have a machine, and there you go. He's one day he said, "You want to learn?" I was like, "Sure." And he's like, "Here, set it right and go for it."
So it's more of a like, sure, why not? Not a like, oh my gosh, I'm so interested in this. I have to know.
It- yeah, yeah, a little.
Okay.
I was like, yeah, yeah.
But then the minute you touched it changed your life, huh? Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely, absolutely. It changed my life. It did.
What about it just like got you so excited and changed the course of your life right in that moment?
Well, at the time I was just out of college and I was of course broke. And so I was like, "Oh, I can build anything I want now." And I did. I did. And as I got better at it and people found out that I could do it, that's pretty much how the word spread. I just
Okay.
word of mouth.
So have you been doing it for yourself this whole time then? Was it like you grabbed a torch, you graduated from school, grabbed a torch, started making stuff, and then the rest is history? Or like tell me how this
No,
all came to be.
I've had jobs,
Okay.
along the way. It's something that I always fall back on. The welding
Okay.
is, so I've worked in mostly male dominated fields like aviation and
Oh,
manufacturing and yeah. So
interesting.
yes.
You gloss over this like it's no big thing.
And then yeah, so let me get this off. I always fall back on welding though. It's been a
Okay.
great skill, just
So
so
in the other
I always did it part time if not full time.
okay. And then these other jobs that you were working in these super male dominated fields, were you doing still design and fabrication kind of work?
In some aspect, I wasn't welding necessarily in all
Okay.
of these jobs.
That's okay.
Some of them I was.
Yeah.
I worked at a sign shop doing the structural steel.
Oh, cool.
I did work for another fabricator who did ornamental ironwork for a little
Okay.
while, and those are the two welding jobs that I've had outside of my own shop.
Okay.
Yes, but otherwise, I worked for a plastics manufacturer. I did
Interesting.
quality control. I was an art teacher for a little while.
Okay. What kind of
Um,
art?
Visual arts, just from pre-K to 8th grade.
Oh my goodness.
Yes,
Okay,
quite a
you've
range.
done a variety of things. And we haven't even
Yes.
told the audience about your other secret talent.
Oh, yes.
So in addition to all of these other things that Brandy does, which is like a litany of talents, tell us what you do in your nights and weekends.
So I'm a singer in a classic rock band with my sister, my cousin, and my uncle.
I love that so much. So is it classic rock, not Cajun music?
Not Cajun music.
This
Now,
surprises me, given your passion for the
I
culture.
know. I know. Everyone else in the band is in another band, at least one other Cajun
Okay.
band.
Okay.
So, but we are all of our passion was rock and roll. That's what we were brought up on. So we love it, and
That is
so we're a
awesome.
family band, and we're also almost an all girl band. So
Oh,
that's cool.
yeah, absolutely. That is really awesome. So is it just like kind of a fun thing that you do here and there, or you guys got a following? Tell me about this band.
We have a little following. We haven't played as much this year as we have in the past. I don't know why. I think everybody's been busy with their other
Busy life.
bands. Yeah, and life, you know. Huh. So yeah, we have some shows coming up later this year.
All right. So you guys
I'm
have to
so
follow her so
excited.
you can keep track of her and find out when
Yeah.
she's got shows coming up. That is
We're,
really,
yeah.
really cool.
We're called the Magnolites.
The Magnolites. What does that name come from?
Another thing I'm good at is cooking. And
Woman of
there's
all trades here.
yeah, there's a certain brand of pot that everybody down here has. It's an aluminum pot. It's you could get them anywhere. Well, used to, but it's a Magnolite pot. It's a
Oh,
aluminum cooking pot that everybody down here has. Everybody's mama has a, a Magnolite pot. At least one. At least one.
that's fabulous. I love it. So are you just like constantly out there collecting hobbies and skills? Like, is this just you have a constant need to learn? Like, what? Talk to me about this.
Yes, I have now shut that down. I'm like, no, I don't need another hobby.
No
You
more
know,
hobbies.
no, I sew a little bit, and you know, I I'd like to learn upholstery. I've done some upholstery
Okay.
work, but I do like to sew. Not clothing. That's too much of a it's too hard. So I'll alter clothes and,
Okay. I
do
love this. You're
upholstery work.
very well rounded.
I guess.
This is very cool. It is not common. Like I'm good at fixing things and building things, but like do not ask me to cook or sing for that
Oh.
matter. So I'm very impressed that you've got all of these different skills under your belt.
Yeah,
So
I'm never bored.
are you pretty much self-taught in all of these things? I mean, you went to school for design. Did you ever go to school for any of these other talents, or are you just self-taught and
Self-taught
okay?
before YouTube.
Right. Yeah, because you've been doing this 20 plus years. You've been welding and fabricating
Yeah,
and designing and building. So you got into this, you're around the same age as me. You got into this in a time when women didn't touch welders all that often and didn't build things or work in male dominated fields.
right.
Um, and you have all these other talents that are more appropriate for our gender, right? Quote unquote. The cooking and the sewing and all of that. Was
Yeah.
it a shock to people when you took on welding and dove into that head first?
It might have been, but I never even stopped to think about it.
I
I
love
was
it.
like, "Oh, this is cool. I want to do this," and I just did it. Now, the few places that I did work welding the sign shop in particular, I had some older gentlemen, and I use that term gentleman loosely, um, who were a little they were accepting of me because I have a personality where I can try to get along with everyone. And so
Okay.
I wasn't, you know, I made them like me.
talk to me more about this. What is your technique there? Because I feel like this is a thing that women in these trades struggle with, right? Is like, how do we get the folks who are not inclined to like women in these fields, we get them to come around anyway. So
Yeah.
what was your technique? What's your approach? What's your philosophy?
Flattery and humor.
Ah, flattery will get you
It
everywhere,
will get
right?
you everywhere. Yeah. And just be open to, I'll ask questions, you know.
Yeah.
I never, no one really ever, even the older men, they never shut me down and like treated me like, and that's just one shop.
Sure. But that's awesome. That's awesome.
That's just the experience I had there. So,
Yeah.
it could have been different somewhere else.
How did your welder dad respond when you started welding?
My dad is a man of few words.
Okay.
But he's very proud of me now. I know that.
Now.
Yeah, now. I know that now. People have told me, and he's like, he talks to me about things, asks me to do things for him. So,
Okay.
mhm.
Okay. Well, that's good. And the rest of your family, they supportive? Did it
Oh,
take you some
very,
time? How
very.
were they when you first came out about it? When you first started doing it?
I came out as a welder.
Came out as a welder.
Uh, no, they were great. Everybody was great. They all thought it was cool, because I always kind of had the knack for doing things with my hands. So I guess
Yeah.
it was no surprise to people who knew me.
Tell me, do you feel like, I mean, you've done some traveling. I'm sure you've interacted with other places and other cultures. Do you feel like the culture where you live, the Cajun culture, is more accepting of women doing non-traditional jobs, or
Uh,
no?
we have a lot of
Maybe.
yeah, we have a lot of oil field down here.
Okay.
So, there's a lot of opportunities for men to go straight from high school to making a lot of money in the oil field, you know, and it's harder for women to do that, I think, you know. Um I,
They're discouraged. It's just not welcome. I mean, I know the oil fields are incredibly dangerous
it is.
jobs.
Honestly, I can't speak for women who try to enter that field of work.
Sure.
Um but I can see where she would get a lot of pushback.
Okay. A
Yeah, or
real
yeah, very
traditional
traditional.
place. Okay.
Very. Yeah.
Interesting.
Or was,
Yeah.
the the new generation's changing things.
Slowly
I
but
think
surely, right?
surely, but yes.
Yeah. Have you noticed any significant changes since I mean, you've got 2 decades plus in these worlds of welding and fabrication and design, and have you noticed a big change? And if so, talk to me about that.
I think there are more people interested in it because of social media and things that they see on YouTube, and you see people doing it, and you're like, oh, I want to try that. I can do that, which is great.
Yeah.
Um, I can't say that I knew any female welders when I started.
Yeah.
I of course we didn't have YouTube.
We've
So
got some more female welders in the audience right now. Weld Life, Weld Jointed just popped on
hi.
the say hello.
My shirt.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I was the only female mechanic I knew when I started, and we probably got into this around the same time. It was like right after college, and I didn't know any other female mechanics. It was not a thing. It's not a thing then, and we didn't have
No,
social media then, so like we didn't have
right,
things to connect us and for us to see it.
right. I know when it was Instagram when it became popular. And I was
Yeah.
like, wow, look at all these people, and I'm talking male and female. They
Yeah.
do what I do too.
Yeah.
It was great. I made friends with so many people,
Yeah.
and
It's been really interesting.
no one in the maker community even questions, you know, your gender.
It seems to me, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like the maker community is more accepting of difference, right? I'm just going to say like blanket, definitely more accepting of gender, probably more accepting of sexuality. Um, I don't know on race. I can't speak to that. But it definitely seems like the maker community is more accepting and tolerant than some of the
Absolutely.
traditional trades, quote unquote.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got a lot of grumpy old men who do blacksmithing, and those hardcore welders that are like, will tell you you're doing everything wrong. I haven't run into that. Nobody's been mean to me. But
So you've done a lot of different types of welding, right? You've done some blacksmithing, you've done structural kind of stuff, right? You've done
mhm,
artistic sculptural things, but you've also done, really structural and functional stuff.
yes.
So do you see a big difference in like the different pockets of the welding community and how they respond to you?
No, you know what? It always it always takes me a few minutes to gain some respect, or like if a guy walks up to you and says, "I'm a welder," you're like, "Oh, okay. Yeah." If I walk up to you and say I'm a welder, you're like, "No, come on. Really? You don't look like a welder." Whatever
Right.
that means. I don't know what a
Right.
welder looks like. Um, so I have to take a few minutes to prove that, yeah, no, I'm serious.
Yeah.
I do this, and maybe I'll have to pull out my phone and show him some pictures. But yeah,
The
and then
proof. I love the
and then like,
proof.
yeah, does your husband weld? I'm like, no, he does not. He shouldn't tell anybody that anything that he has tried to weld is not mine. It's not. Don't tell anybody I did that.
So I take it you did not stay with the boyfriend that initially introduced you to welding.
No, but he continued welding, as far as I know.
All right. So of all these different types of welding and different metalwork and fabrication, and what's your favorite?
Ooh, so I got hooked up with a designer out of Baton Rouge, and he was a lighting designer. And aside from the stuff that he makes me fix or repair, I love his original projects because they're really niche and, sometimes smaller and more attention to detail. And I really like those kinds of projects.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
everything I do is brand new to me, which is cool. I've
I
never
like
done anything before, any of it before, usually.
I love that. That's such a refreshing mindset. Like you've been doing this for 20 plus years and you still have this attitude of everything I do is new to me. Like
Yeah.
it's always something new. It's a new design. There's a new trick to it. There's a new something. That's a great attitude. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. There's always something interesting.
Yeah. What are some of like the most complicated types of projects that you've done?
Um, this designer in particular, always
Yeah,
having
the
to
lighting.
replicate something that is either not made anymore, or an Italian fixture that the client saw somewhere, and it's like 5 were made and we need to recreate it. But I love those challenges.
Yeah. What about it gets you going? Talk to me about that.
That's what not keeps me up at night, but like, you fall asleep thinking about how exactly you're gonna approach it. What techniques could you do? How am I gonna make that bend? Um, just every component of it. You visualize it in your head. You walk through the steps before you even get in the shop. That's fun.
When you started welding, did you anticipate that this was what this was going to look like for you? And did you, I guess, I guess where I'm going with this, I think about like the kids that are encouraged into welding and fabrication and whatnot, like versus the so many more kids who would be great at it but never get that opportunity. Are the skills that you're using every day, like this figuring out, this problem solving, this walking through and engineering things, is that what you expected when you got into welding? And talk to me.
I never ever expected to be where I am. I never thought about it that far ahead, but I've got to do and go places because of this, and because of social media and getting um recognized for doing things, and then going to teach places. And I mean, who'd have ever thought? Not me.
I've got somebody just commented about women's welding hour at Maker
Oh
Camp.
yes. Hi, Matt.
Talk to me about Women Welding Hour at Maker Camp. And what is Maker Camp for those who don't know?
Oh, it's the best. It takes place in the Catskill Mountains in East Durham, New York,
Okay.
upstate New York, and it's in the Catskill Mountains at what is the it's the Blackthorn Resort.
Okay.
So about 500 makers show up
Oh,
there,
wow.
and there's different booths or tents set up where you can try blacksmithing, sewing, leatherwork, silversmithing. I mean, you name it, printmaking, everything. And we have a welding tent sponsored by Lincoln Electric.
Okay.
And we go up there and teach welding all day, all weekend. And we do set aside a couple of hours for women so that they can come and be taught by women. Sometimes it might be intimidating for some to be taught by a man
Yeah.
welding.
Yeah.
It's all new. So we encourage the women to come by and get some lessons from some gals.
I love it. That is so awesome. How long have you been teaching there?
I've taught, I think it's 2 or 3 years now. I've taught
Okay.
women, men, and children.
That is very cool. Very cool.
Yes.
Are you teaching in other places as well? Was this like the first opportunity to teach welding?
That was the first opportunity to teach welding. Yes.
Okay.
Now I've taught art, like I said, but not
Yeah.
welding.
Yeah. Was it similar, different? I mean, you're
Oh,
teaching adults when you're teaching welding, but right? So that's got to be a little bit different.
listen, I tell you, those kids that come up, they're amazing, amazing. So it's everybody's fresh.
Yeah.
The slate is clean, whether you're a man, woman, or child. You've never done it before. Doesn't matter who you are. Everybody starts at the same level.
Yeah, absolutely. You had mentioned something when we were chatting offline before this interview about getting young boys and girls into this kind of work, and different ways that we can do that, and something that I think it's a topic that's kind of on a lot of people's lips right now. If the trade schools and high school programs are kind of ebbing and flowing with what's going on with them. Are the high school programs alive and strong down by where you are, or are they gone still?
They're getting there. Now they divide in our parish, which is
Mhm.
a county everywhere else in the world.
Okay.
They divide it. You're either on a college path or you're on a trades path,
Okay.
and they have welding. I don't think they support too many other trades. Um,
Interesting.
but welding is one. They do offer welding, which
Okay.
is great, you know. Um, but you don't have to go and be a pipe welder or work in a heavy duty industry. You can carve your own path. Look what I did. I'm making designers' dreams come true, and with pieces like that.
Yeah.
You just have to know how to, having a design background helps.
Sure.
You have to learn how to communicate with your client, which is important.
Yeah. I feel like that's probably one of the biggest myths about welding that I would love to be able to dispel, and really about so many of the trades, is like how many different ways you can do it, right? Especially with
Exactly.
welding. My gosh, there's so many different types of welding. So many
Exactly.
different types.
So many. Yeah. I've never worked in a factory where I've been suspended from beams and having to, weld. That's not the type of welding that I ever wanted to do, or, it's not what I set out for. If
Okay.
that were the case, it'd probably just be a hobby. But
Well, you have the art background too, so it makes
sure.
sense that this was the direction that you wound up going in. You were an artist first. It really seems
Yes.
like the design piece.
Yes. It, yeah, definitely helped.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Never looked back, huh? Picked up that welding torch and then never looked back.
No, I can't do without it. I can't live without it.
So do you have any interest in like doing more teaching with kids
I would
in the
love to.
schools,
I would
maybe?
love to. If they would have me, I would love to. I've been asked every now and then, could you come by, and it's just you have to have the right setup, and you
Right,
can't just I can tell you what to do, but you have to get your hands on it.
right. Yeah,
Have you
it's
ever
always
welded?
been so frustrating. Me, yes, I love
Oh,
welding.
okay,
I
good.
I wish that I was exposed to it earlier.
Ah,
And I think it's that one of those things like we talk about so often on this series, and I think we just talk about with the trades in general is like all about exposure. And if you don't know that a career path exists, it's harder to pursue it. If you
exactly.
don't know, like I didn't know what welding was. Like I'd never even like heard of it really when I was in high school. It wasn't nobody around me. And then of course as I got older, I I had heard of it. Like
Yeah.
I'd seen it, but it was just not really something that I understood the opportunities that were there, or ever had the chance to really get my hands on it. And then,
Right.
yeah, I've gotten into metal a little bit more recently, and I love
Good.
it. And I just want more people to like be able to be exposed to all of these things because we do our kids such a disservice. When you talk about like having kids be exposed to these skills alongside their academic work, like it needs to be both, right?
Yes, it needs to be both. I was on the college path. I never got to. I would have loved to take industrial arts. You don't have time for that.
Right.
You got to take. You got these scholarships that require this. No trades.
Right.
I
They
didn't know I was good
required
at
no
it.
trades?
No trades.
Interesting.
They required an art, a survey of the arts or something like this. And this is this state. The state funded scholarship program.
Interesting. I think in some states that is starting to change where a 2-year technical school is still considered college, which is a good thing, and that scholarships can apply. But I think in a lot of places, you're absolutely right that that is still not considered school. Um,
Right.
I remember even like as silly as this is, I was set up an education fund for my niece when she was born, and I had to seek one out that specifically would allow trade school as where that education money could go to, because a lot of them specify 4-year college only.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
really, really interesting.
Sad.
Yeah. Wow. So you were not allowed to take it. So I think that's such an interesting thing. It's something that I think about a lot. Like, because then the kids that do go to the tech schools are often going to schools that don't have an academic program. It is
Mm,
just tech school, right?
mhm,
Especially post high school, right?
mhm.
And neither of those situations are great. like,
No, no.
like
You know,
why do we do this?
I don't know. Like, you wanna apply math? Let's learn how to read a tape measure, for one.
Yes.
Um, construct a box out of steel or wood, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's apply the, mathematics, 'cause you always hear, "I'll never use this again." I sure ate my words.
Hmm.
You I don't think I ever said it, but I ended up working in a metal building manufacturer, and I needed algebra and I needed trigonometry to do what I needed to do there. So
Who knew?
who knew? That's right.
And maybe if so, unlike both sides, maybe if teachers showed kids the practical application of these skills,
Ah,
we'd have more kids interested in math. But but also on the flip side, like it's not, these are not careers for the dumb kids, right? Like,
no,
and I say that, let me like clarify that I say that, like that's, I feel like the attitude of a lot of guidance counselors is
it
like,
is.
oh, that kid's not doing well in school, put him in the trade program. Like, okay, wait, that's not necessarily the answer. Like, there's different types of intelligence. But definitely, like, there's a lot of math and science and STEM skills that are
Yes.
used in this work.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Um, when I was an art teacher, I would approach it as more of a maker class than an art class. I never, I was not a trained artist, as in painting and drawing, and I ended up, doing graphic stuff for my major, but I'm not a trained painter. So to me, art is something so different from what everybody else thought
Hmm.
of. So we would do a lot of hands on.
Yeah. Interesting. Were you always, like when you were young, were you a creative, artsy type? Was this like always in your blood?
Yeah, I was always kind of a little maker.
Yeah.
My mom used to bring things to me to fix around the house.
Okay.
So yeah, because I like to figure things out.
So
So yeah.
you were a fixer and a maker.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. It's interesting. I think the maker scene is a really interesting one to me because I really feel like that differentiation that people wind up making in their head about, like, if you're a female maker, it's acceptable, but if you're a female tradesperson, more people get their heckles raised about
Hmm.
that. And
Hmm.
I don't know what that is. Is it the creative piece of it?
Maybe, but I don't understand it because I have the perspective of, oh, bring it on. This is great.
Right.
So I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's getting better though. It is
Slowly, slowly
slow.
but surely. Not fast enough. I'm impatient.
I know. I know.
Any really cool projects you're working on right now that you can share?
Um, just some smaller things. So I just recently went back to work full time.
Oh,
Ironically enough, I work in the tourism department of our parish.
oh,
So I am
okay.
daily helping to promote our culture.
Okay, I love it.
So yeah, it was just the perfect job, you know, and the health insurance is great.
Yeah, that's the one downside of the maker as path, as a career path, is
And working for yourself.
you're
Yeah.
self-employed, and
Yes.
self-employed is means no health benefits. Yeah.
Yes. So I did my family a solid and I went back to work full time.
That was very nice of you.
Thank you. um so yeah, so right now I've kind of not taken a hiatus. I have projects. I have like some hardware for an architect that I need to work on.
Okay.
Yeah, some a sign holder, some stair rails. Um there's a few things sitting in my inbox that I need to address. So
Okay.
yes,
So
a gate.
how does one build this kind of business that you have? I mean, you're obviously for benefits purposes and to fulfill your other passions, and you are obviously the person who doesn't sit still and needs 17 different things happening to keep you stimulated and involved. And I love that. But the fabrication business, you've got a bunch of clients that you're building stuff for. You have your own work that you're creating and building and promoting. Um, how does one build that? How do you get clients? How do you build that name? And if somebody wanted to do what you're doing, what are your tips from a business perspective?
You need to just do it. And now with social media, it's so much easier to get your name out there and get recognized, for things. Early on, it before all that, it took a public arts project to get my name out there around here. So plus the artwork was stolen, so it was all over the news, and
Oh, geez.
it kind of brought attention to me.
I guess no press is bad press, right? It's always good.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness, that's crazy.
yeah,
Yeah, you're right though. Back in the day, it was much harder. It was much more traditional paths that you had to go to get known.
yeah.
Um,
If you
yeah,
found yourself in the newspaper or the news for some reason, that helped.
yeah,
It's just crazy. Yeah, crazy. There was nothing. I I don't know. I just kept at it. Keep at it, kids.
yeah.
put
So
yourself
now it's
put yourself
easier.
out there. Put yourself out there. It is easier. Yeah, you can get a lot of opportunities now.
Yeah. I wonder if that's part of what makes it a little harder though too, doesn't it? Like when we were coming up, you and I, we had to really we had to fight for it. We had to work for it.
Yeah.
Now it
Oh
comes
yeah.
it's a little almost too easy.
It is. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I can't lie. I agree. It's easy now,
Yeah.
but you got to be good. You still got to be good.
Yeah. So you did some blacksmithing, I saw in some of your pictures as well. Where did you get to learn that? And is that something that you enjoy doing, or is it mostly the welding that you enjoy?
I enjoy both. That was self-taught. I'm
Okay.
not like I would love to learn, way more than I know about blacksmithing. Yeah,
Let's go take a class together. I would love to.
we
I'd
should.
love to learn.
I know, and I never get to take a class at Maker Camp because I'm in the booth teaching. So there's that. There's people around here that I could learn from. It's just, yeah, I have my hands in too many skills. I don't know, hobbies.
Yeah. I know. There's gotta that's what going back to our earlier conversation, right? No more hobbies, no more new hobbies.
No more, no more. I know. I say that all. I used to do photography too, film photography.
Oh my
Y-
goodness.
Look, every time something interests me, I'm like, I tell myself out loud, no new hobbies, no more.
Is there anything that doesn't interest you? I feel like every
Hmm.
she's like, oh yeah, I've done
Sports.
that. I've done that. Sports doesn't interest you. Okay.
Mhm. Never was interested in that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I can
Didn't
relate
play
to that.
any. Wasn't good at it.
Nope. We are cut from the same cloth there. That's awesome.
Uh-huh. Oh, I can't throw a ball to save my life.
Nor I. And I'm pretty sure there's like a magnet for frisbees in my head because like I can't
Oh,
catch them, but they always find their way to hit me.
oh yeah. Great.
So, are there any skills that you do not have yet that you are desperate to learn that you'd be willing to break your no new hobby rule for if you had the opportunity to learn?
Well, there is one that I have learned and have dabbled and just requires so much practice, and that's TIG welding.
Mm.
I went up to Lincoln Electric's headquarters and took a TIG class, and I just it's like playing the drums. Every limb is doing something different. Your feet are doing something. Each hand, and I don't know if I need to maybe start playing the drum. My sister's a drummer. Start
Okay.
playing the drums so I could get better at TIG welding. I don't know if that would help, but yeah,
It might, or one would or learning how to TIG weld would help you learn how to
would
play
help
the
me play.
drums.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I make the same analogy. Riding a motorcycle, TIG welding, and playing drums are all the exact sort of thing where each hand and leg is doing something different.
Yeah.
And you've got to keep track of it. Like they're all doing
Yeah.
something completely different,
Yeah,
independent of each other.
I'm not gonna learn how to ride a motorcycle. I'm just not. I rode a bird scooter in
Oh,
Austin,
what?
and those scooters that they have around big cities,
Oh, yeah,
those
yeah, yeah. Okay.
motorized bird.
Yeah.
That's one of the brands. Hated it. I'm like, I'm never doing this again.
Okay, riding a motorcycle and riding a scooter are two very different things, child.
I don't know that though. I'm not gonna find out.
Okay, fair enough. I'm
I
not
was
going to.
terrified.
I'm not going to peer pressure you to ride a motorcycle. That's fine.
I was terrified. Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
I'll stick
Oh.
to four wheels.
Oh, gotta love it. So let's see. What I feel like there's so much more about your life and your journey that we haven't talked about yet. Are there any like deep secrets that we haven't or hidden skills that we haven't chatted about yet?
Ooh, hidden skills. Ooh.
Hidden
Oh,
skills.
I don't think so. We talked about sewing, cooking, singing, welding. Uh,
Okay, here's an intellectual query
oh,
or a philosophical maybe, I don't know. Um, if you had to give up all except for one of these hobbies that you, and I don't want to downplay it as a hobby, but because you were doing all of these things, if you
yeah.
had to give them all up but could only keep one,
I would keep welding.
just welding.
Somebody else can cook.
So all these years later, 20 plus years later, what about it keeps you going?
Because it has allowed me to do things I never thought I would do. Just taking me places. Um, I've met so many people, made new friends. I mean, all through this skill, made some money too. That's not bad. But yeah, it's meant so much to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you really enjoy introducing new people to welding. What is
Yes.
it? What is it about introducing them to it, and what about it are you loving sharing with them?
To see the spark in their eyes, like, oh wow, this is so cool, you know. Um, and I always tell people you don't know what you're good at until you try it. And that could be anything. And you just get hooked.
Yeah.
It's not, it's amazing. It's cool. I mean, you're melting metal.
I know it's one of those things I feel like it's very hard to explain why it's so awesome until you do it.
Yeah.
Like I find that same thing with so many welders that I speak to who like the minute they touched a torch, their life changed. And it's like, what about it? Like, um, I don't like it just it's amazing. Like,
Yeah.
it's a very difficult thing to explain, but there's something that's hugely empowering about it. There's something that is just like world expanding, I think.
Yes. Yes, it is. I mean, it opens up doors. You can build, look, I
You
built
can
this.
build doors.
You can build doors. You can make, I mean, this whole house has been, is furnished by me.
That's all.
Um,
So what were you pointing to behind you? What is
oh,
that?
these are my stair rails. This is
Oh, cool.
the loft rails.
Fun.
Yeah, if you're not watching the podcast, it's kind of hard to.
Yes. So if you're only listening to the replay of this, then that's just
Yes.
more motivation to come join us on YouTube periodically to watch so that you can see all the cool stuff.
Yes. Yes.
But you can always go to her website and check out all of her incredible work there as well.
Thank you. Yes.
Do you like doing your own stuff more, or do you like working with clients and building their visions or building your
Ooh,
own visions?
I would say that I really like doing client work. Like, and when I nail it, I love it. I do love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are
When
you
we work,
mostly do you work with like how does that work? Or are there different ways of it? Like are you working from a set of plans or are you listening to somebody's vision and then turning it into reality? Or is it a combination of the two?
I rarely work with someone else's plans.
Okay.
Usually people come to me and want to have something designed and I do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the
So
lighting person that you work with, they give you like a visual and say, make something like this,
yes,
and then
yes,
you're figuring out how to do
yes.
that.
So some loose dimensions. It needs to do this. It needs to be this wide, and whatever.
Yeah.
So I draw it up for them and
Okay.
go from there.
Very cool.
Yeah.
We do have a question from the audience, and I'm curious as well. Do you have a shop? Are you portable? Are you mobile, or is it a fixed shop? Is it part of your house? Where do you work?
I have a shop. It was We built this home about 13 years ago, and one of the requirements was that I had a shop on site. So
Nice.
yes, I have a 40 by 40 shop in my backyard.
Oh, very nice.
Yes.
Okay, so that brings up like a whole nother question. How do you separate? Like, how do you check out? How do you not overwork? Because your business is practically in your home. It's on site.
Hmm.
It's right there. Um, I know a lot of folks whose shop is attached to their house as well, or right nearby. Like, how do you shut off and protect your space and your time?
Oh, I don't. If
Appreciate your honesty.
Yeah, it depends. If I'm in the thick of something, I'll work till 10, whatever. But it's
Okay,
okay. It's okay. You know, I come in, check and make sure the kid is okay and, fed.
the kid.
The kid.
So you have one child?
I
One
have one child.
How
Yes,
old?
and he's 12. I just
Okay.
taught him how to weld this past spring.
Nice. Do you think he's gonna follow
Yes.
in your footsteps?
Maybe he'll do it sometimes. I don't think it'll be his thing.
Okay.
He's
Okay.
way smarter than me. So
I I
I
I
think
have
he'll
a hard time believing that, not because I doubt that he's smart, but I think you're pretty darn smart too, that you probably just
well,
don't give yourself credit for.
well, he has to get it from somewhere, right?
Yes.
I say it's from me and not his dad. But his dad's pretty smart too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So when he was I mean, now he's able to kinda, like, fend for himself and take care of himself. Like you said,
sure.
check, make sure he's good, and then go on and do your thing in
Yes,
the
it
shop.
makes it a lot easier than when he was 3 or,
Yeah. So
younger.
how did you juggle that when you were younger? And was this kind of the career path that you've chosen and kind of having this business for yourself? Did that help or hinder? Was it a benefit, or was
Um,
it more challenging when he was young
oh, it was way more challenging. Thank
than
goodness
having a
for
traditional job? Like, would you say like traditional job
No,
versus having your own business, which was better?
I say being a working mom is very challenging no
No
matter
matter what.
what. No matter what, it is a challenge. And, I'm grateful to have my parents around to help because they sure do help. Yeah.
Yeah. I never know, I talk to young folks who want to be parents, right? But also want to be business owners, like whether it's easier to have, I mean, obviously it's challenging, right? Like to your point,
Right.
being a working mom is a challenge no matter what. But is working a traditional 40-hour job versus being your own boss is one of those easier, harder, different, just a whole different set of challenges, right?
Yeah, just different. I mean, at least, owning your own business, you have the freedom to be there for certain things. As he got older, there's school activities and whatever that you can take an afternoon and go do what you have to do. It's
Yeah.
not as easy now. But either way, it takes a village.
Amen to that. Yes. I think it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village just to raise any of us, right?
Yes, it does. I mean, I remember my aunts being around and helping my mom and my grandmother. And yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So we are running up to the end of our hour here. So I wanna ask you my question that I like ending things on, unless there's anything else that you want to share with the fine folks at home. I'll get into my final question.
I want everybody to try something new tomorrow.
Ooh. Ooh, I like that. Try something new tomorrow. Okay, the challenge has been set. Um, we we want to see you
Doesn't
try
matter what it
something
is.
new tomorrow. Anything.
Anything. It
And
could be food. It could be
I
a
love that.
skill. Yeah.
I love
Try
that.
writing with your left hand if you're writing.
We make gumbo. Can you teach us how to make gumbo?
I have a video on my Instagram of making gumbo.
Do you really?
I do. I have
Okay,
a
so
tutorial saved in on my Instagram.
so if you guys want your new thing that you try to be making gumbo, she's got a tutorial on her website. That is, or
Check
on
it
her
out.
Instagram. That's amazing. Okay, and I challenge you guys then. Following that up, Brandy's challenging you to try something new. I challenge you to let us know. Either let her know through her social media,
Yes.
or let us know on the With Her Two Hands social media. What new thing did you try? I
You'll get a
love that.
virtual high five.
That is a great challenge. I love it. Okay. So, to all of the folks listening, watching, who will be listening in the future, what are your, if you had the opportunity to go back and talk to little baby Brandy, the
I
younger version of you, what are your words of advice for her?
would say, girl, you're gonna gain your confidence later. So go for it. Do whatever you want to do. Go for it. Don't be scared because she was a very shy child, very anxious child. So I would say, you got this, girl.
That's beautiful. I love that. I feel like I hear that a lot from women more than I hear from men, that like we came into our confidence later in life. Like
Hmm.
it's a, it's different, right? I feel like men kind of have confidence a little earlier, and women take a little longer to step into it. But once we do, woo, watch
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. I became an extrovert real quick.
I love it. I love it. All right, my dear. Well, this has been fantastic. I've really enjoyed meeting you, and I hope the fine folks at home have enjoyed meeting you as well. I will have information on how you guys can follow along with Brandy and her adventures, all of her different adventures, down in the link below. Make sure you check out her website, check her out on social media. Go learn to make gumbo from her. Check out some of the cool products that she makes and designs. Maybe if you're in her area, go catch her band playing. There's so many things to choose from because she does a little bit of everything. What a cool woman. Really, really great to meet her. Thank you guys for tuning in and joining us and hanging out tonight. Make sure you come back next week. We have another incredible tradeswoman for you to meet. And until next time, oh, yes, if you like this, make sure you hit like, hit subscribe, leave us some comments down below so that algorithm, I remember the word now, the algorithm will make sure that more folks see and hear these stories. And the more we normalize women in the trades and maybe inspire some more women to come and check out the love of making things with her own two hands. Thank you guys. Be wonderful. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. And we will see you next time.